please.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here, I'm free now.
In 2013, Cleveland police got a chilling call. A woman claimed that she had been held against her will for 10 years. But this woman had already been declared dead by authorities. When police entered the house, they realized that she wasn't the only one there, and the most chilling thing is the fact that they had been held captive by someone who is known by everyone in town.
My neighbor, you got some big testicles to pull this off, bro, because we see this dude every day. I mean, every day.
How did he stay under the radar for so many years? Who was this man? These are the testimonies of the survivors of a ruthless kidnapper and the story of how they were held captive for a decade, just a few blocks from their homes. Everything happened on May 6, 2013 in Cleveland, United States. In a quiet neighborhood where everyone knew each other, the silence of a calm afternoon was broken by a scream of a woman. It came from one of the houses on Seymour Avenue. The neighbors came out to check, since the young woman was very upset and begging for help. One of them, a man named Charles Ramsey, responded to the desperate screams and walked up to her to find out what was making her freak out.
I see this girl going nuts, trying to get out of her house. So I go on the porch, and she says, "Help me get out. I've been in here a long time." So we kick the bottom, and she comes out with the little girl, and she says, "Call 911. My name is Amanda Berry."
Charles immediately helped the woman out of the house and called the authorities to tell them what he had witnessed.
Cleveland 911, police, ambulance to fire.
This broad is trying to break out the fucking house next door to me. She like, this motherfucker done kidnapped me and my daughter, and we've been in this bitch. She saying
Sir,
you know what I mean?
Sir, you have to calm down and slow down. Is she still in the street?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
In distress, the woman asked for a phone and called 911 to report her situation, and police couldn't believe it when they heard the voice of the person talking to them.
Hello, please.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here, I'm free now.
Okay, stay there with those neighbors and talk to the police when they get there.
Okay, and I don't know right now, I
We're
need
gonna
them
start
now.
them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now before we get back.
Amanda Berry was a young woman who had disappeared 10 years ago, and authorities had closed the case thinking that she was already dead. Police officers, in total disbelief, went to the location anyway, especially because the woman was completely desperate and they had to act before he returned.
About 5 minutes after the police got here, see, the girl Amanda told the police, "I ain't just the only ones, it's some more girls up in that house."
Upon entering the house, police realized that it wasn't a joke and that they were in the presence of a horror house. Upon inspection, they found two more women, Michelle Knight and Gina De Jesus. Both of them also reported missing 10 years ago.
Adam 23 radio.
Go ahead.
We found them. We found them.
Now there were more questions than answers. How did they get trapped in a dark dungeon for so long? Who was the person who had done this to them? Then the women started telling their distressing story, bringing up all those years they were deprived of their freedom, just a few blocks from their own homes. Michelle Knight was held against her will on August 23, 2002, when she was 21 years old. She was the first young woman to disappear, and she remembers perfectly well how she ran into her captor for the first time.
Well, I was walking to an appointment for my son, and I didn't know exactly where it was, so I asked for help, but the second person that came through the door knew where it was, and it happened to be my friend's father, who was talking about puppies, and I was like, "Oh, so you got puppies at the house? Hey, I could take one home to my son." When we got in the house, it was kind of awkward. I didn't hear puppies. I didn't hear no sounds. So I started to get a little nervous, and then I got even more nervous as we were going up the stairs. Next thing you know, we were in the room, and I never got home.
The man in question was Ariel Castro, a 42-year-old man who worked as a school bus driver in Cleveland for years. He was also known as an amateur musician who played bass in local bands. He was known throughout the neighborhood and actively participated in the community, so no one suspected his horrendous actions at all.
He just comes out to his backyard, plays with the dogs, tinker with his cars and motorcycles, goes back in the house. So he's somebody that you look away because he's not doing nothing but the average stuff. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing exciting about him.
Inside the house, Castro subjected them to unimaginable physical and psychological torment. As no one suspected him, months later he felt the urge to get a new victim, and shortly after, he bumped into Amanda Berry and took her against her will on April 21st, 2003, one day before her 17th birthday.
I had gotten off of work early that day, so I just started walking. I looked up, saw a man and a girl in the van. The girl looked like someone that I had worked with, so, I smiled at them, continued to walk. A couple minutes later, the van pulls up, and he says, "Do you need a ride?"
With the same cruelty suffered by Michelle, he kept her in another room to prevent them from conspiring against him. He also kept them chained to the floor so they wouldn't escape. He covered their mouths or played loud music so that no one would hear their cries for help. Almost a year later, Castro decided he wanted another victim, this time one younger than the previous ones. So on April 2nd, 2004, he found Gina de Jesus.
I was walking home from school with his daughter, Arlene Castro. She went her other way, and I went the other way. He asked me if I seen his daughter, and I said yes, and he was like, "Can you help me find her?" I was like, yes, and then he didn't turn around. We ended up going to his house.
In captivity, Castro subjected the women to constant physical, intimate, and psychological torment. He beat them up, crossed the line by disrespecting them, and kept them living under inhumane conditions, and in a constant state of fear that he could do something even worse to them.
The first time I actually tried to run is the time that he gave me a puppy and he broke the puppy's neck right in front of me. And it slammed me on the back of my neck, losing the only best friend that I had.
Throughout the years, the young women were missing. Their families lived with an agonizing feeling of uncertainty and sorrow. They made continuous efforts to find their loved ones and seek answers about their disappearance.
The whereabouts or anything of my daughter, Amanda Berry. Thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate it.
They conducted a search in their community, distributed posters, and kept their hopes up that they would find them. They urged authorities to continue searching for the girls, and they appeared on camera so that no one would forget them. But Castro's mind was so perverse that he joined the search with his neighbors, and he even forced the women to witness how distressed their families were.
He made her watch us on TV every time we were on TV. So she would see us giving out flyers, candles, praying, the march. This gave her hope, and she knew we were out there for her.
The women stayed strong, knowing that one day they would be found. But years went by and no one suspected Castro. Over that period of time, he constantly impregnated them, to then force them to suffer a miscarriage. But one time, he decided to let Amanda keep the baby, performing a home birth with the help of the other women. That's how Jocelyn came into the world in that dark place, and she was the only ray of sunshine that these young women had. Castro became attached to the little girl, his new daughter, and she was the only one who was given more leeway to move around the house, always under his watchful eye though. The women did their best to provide her with education, food, and to ensure that she grew up healthy. And this little girl was the one who in May 2013, when she was 6 years old, presented the opportunity they had desperately needed for 10 years.
So Justin goes to go downstairs because she was allowed to go downstairs, when she wanted, if he had the door open usually. She comes upstairs and she says, "Mommy, Daddy's blue car is not here. I don't see anything." So I finally tell Justin, I'm like, okay. But then I try to open the door, the screen door, and there's like a lock on there, like a chain lock. It was just about that much room that I could fit my arm through. So I have my arm like waving, going crazy, like, "Somebody please help me."
And that's when she was found by Charles Ramsey and the other neighbors. After police stormed into the horror house, they were taken to the hospital for a checkup, and they realized that they were in a critical condition. After being beaten multiple times and due to unsanitary living conditions and lack of food, the women received treatment and began a slow recovery. although with physical and psychological scars that would leave permanent marks on them. Now with them finally free and Castro being detained, it was time to make him pay. Ariel Castro was arrested on the same day the women managed to escape and seek help. He was charged with multiple counts, including kidnapping, among many others. He argued that he was not guilty, but rather that he was sick and needed help.
So I just want to clear the record that I am not a monster. I did not prey on these women. I just acted on my sexual instincts. And God is my witness. I never beat these women like they're trying to say that I did. I never tortured them. All of it was consensual.
The man denied all the allegations despite the evidence. He didn't even apologize for what he did, but for him, they were just a happy family. But these women were not going to let this predator go free, and Michelle confronted him to make sure he got what he deserved. Now known as Lily Rose Lee in her new life, she took the opportunity to speak to her captor.
I will overcome all this that happened, but you will face hell for eternity. I spent 11 years in hell. Now your hell is just beginning.
In July 2013, Castro pleaded guilty to 937 charges in an agreement with prosecutors to avoid the death penalty. But the judge was relentless and didn't believe any of the lies Castro told. He was sentenced in August to life imprisonment, plus 1,000 years without the possibility of parole. Unable to bear being in captivity himself, a few months later he took his own life in his cell. Now without Castro in their lives, the women are trying to move forward today, leaving behind the nightmare they lived, but while helping others so they don't have to experience the horrible ordeal they went through.
Someday I want to be able to help other people that maybe don't have a voice or is scared or is going through something and they don't know what to do or how to get through something, you know? I definitely want to help people.
I want to help people like me and change a lot of people.
Now I have found exactly what I want out of life, exactly who I want to be. I'm a strong and powerful woman, has a voice that will inspire the world.
These women have strived over the years to be a testimony of human resilience in the face of the most extreme hardships. Their will to survive drew the world's attention, as they have inspired many people with their strength and determination. Despite the horrific circumstances they experienced, these women managed to stay hopeful and keep fighting for their freedom.